So I just want to talk about wrestling. I want to talk about TNA. Now, this is my second part. I already talked about a few things, and I'm just going to keep going. Now, I've already talked about the women's division in TNA. You know, I mentioned Jordan Grace and Rosemary and Alicia Edwards and some other names. Now I'm going to talk about the main event scene with the women's division, which is their, the Knockouts title. And so the champion for the Knockouts title is Masha Slamovich. I think right now we're in the beginning of her run. But what I like is that all she's doing right now is kind of tying off loose ends. Like, she had to take care of Alicia because her and Alicia kind of, had been in a feud way before she got that title. And Alicia had steals attached to her. So, of course, she's going to deal with those two. And then, of course, she has to deal with Jordan because Jordan has a contractual match. So she's kind of just tying all the loose ends right now. And I really can't wait for her to have, like, a real storyline to kind of sink her teeth into. She's had great matches, but I think she needs a storyline to keep building her title reign. And she is going to go against Rosemary, and I think that match is going to be amazing. Rosemary can always deliver, and Masha is great, and I think Masha is still going to be the champion after she goes against Rosemary. I just can't wait to see what kind of feud she's going to have and what kind of storyline she's going to have, because like I said, right now she's just kind of tying up what was going on before she won that title, and now it's time for something new. But I like Masha. Like I said, her new look, everything, amazing. Everything is great. Now, let's talk about the women's tag team division in TNA. Now, the women's tag team division is basically Spitfire. They're the tag team champions. It's Luna and Jody Threat, right? They're the tag team champions. And they've been going a lot against Ash by Elegance, Heather by Elegance, and their concierge, right? Concierge. Now I guess they have a series of matches I don't know. To be honest, the thing about this is that I do love TNA, and I think they do a good job with their women's division. But sometimes when it comes to the tag team title, the women's tag team titles, it's very repetitive. Like, sometimes you only have the two same teams going against each other over and over and over and over again. Like, we had it when MK Ultra, when they had the titles, they kept going against Jessica and Rosemary, Jessica and Rosemary, Jessica and Rosemary, over and over and over again. And so I feel like we're doing the same thing with Ash by Elegance, and now we're saying it's a series, but this is not a series that I really want to see all the time. I know that sounded really bad, but I feel like it would be more interesting if we had more tag teams in this division. And I know we have a lot of female wrestlers in this division, so I don't know why we still just have these two tag teams, but it is what it is. I think the concierge is hilarious, and I think once we have this title match, it will be a good match, but we need more tag teams in this division. We really do. We really do. Anyway, let's get to the main event scene. Now, the TNA World Champion is Nick Nemeth. Now, I've talked about his storyline before, especially with the whole JBL thing and everything. But, let me just update you. The match that he recently had was against AJ Francis from First Class. Yes, AJ Francis. You heard me right. Now, he has surprised a lot of us. He really has. When he was in WWE, they made fun of him in WWE and he wasn't showcased. But here in TNA, you can see he's been putting in the work. You can see that he has been trying to get better at his craft, right? And so having him in the main event in TNA, even though I know he's been great, was still a surprise to me. I was like, okay. Don't get me wrong. Low-key, he's been doing a great job in TNA. It's just, unexpected. It was very unexpected. And you want to know what else was? Well, I'm not going to say that. I kind of knew it was going to be fine. It was going to be a good match because, like I said, AJ has put in the work. And so Nick Nemeth went against AJ Francis, and he beat him. He did beat him, and so he still retained his title. And he does have a number one contenders, and I am going to talk about that. He has a number one contender after AJ Francis. I thought the match was fine. I thought the match was great. And I think for this being his first, his first title shot, really, his first, main event title shot, main card title shot, AJ Francis did a good job. AJ Francis did a really good job in showcasing how much he has been improving in the ring, because he has. He really has. And the mic, he was already great. Now, let's talk about the number one contender, and then we'll go back to Nick Nemeth, right? And so we had a number one contenders match in their last pay-per-view, which I think was Final Resolution, if I'm correct. You can correct me in the comments. And these were the four competitors. It was Santana versus Joe Hendry versus Steve Maclin versus Josh Alexander. By the way, what a match. Josh Alexander was like the smartest man in that match. Yo, there was a time in that match where Josh was in control of all three opponents. He picked his place. He's smart. He picked his place and knew when to attack. Okay? You know, Joe Hendry, Steve Maclin, they're all powerhouses. Who else was here? And Santana. Oh my God, let's talk. Santana, of course, was a powerhouse. What a match. One of my favorite matches. I have to say, I loved it. But anyway, even though I think Josh was the MVP of this match, Joe Hendry won. So Joe Hendry is going to be your number one contender for the title, right? In the new year, in 2025, he's going to go for the TNA title. And so I want to go back to Nick Nemeth, because at the end of his match with AJ Francis, Francis partner, Navarro, he attacked Nick Nemeth, and then it was topped up, not him, AJ Francis, my bad. And he went and him and his partner, they started attacking Nick Nemeth. And who comes out to help Nick Nemeth? Joe Hendry, the number one contender. Now, let's not forget, there is a storyline already in place for this match. I'm telling you, TNA does multiple things, layers. Because Joe Hendry does not trust Nick Nemeth. He thinks that Nick Nemeth cost him the match, because he already had an opportunity. Joe Hendry already went against Nick Nemeth for the title. And he lost because of JBL. And so he thinks that Nick Nemeth was behind the whole thing. And so he doesn't trust him. And then we have Ryan Nemeth, who doesn't trust Joe Hendry. And he's a wrinkle in that storyline as well. And, you know, let's just say one thing. Joe Hendry supposedly went right back to the back of the line, won one match, and then got into this contenders match and won it and has the title shot, right? So did he really go to the back of the line, though? I don't think so. But at the end of the day, I'm happy he's going to get his title shot. I'm happy that, that the storyline is still going, because it is still ongoing. It was never finished. It just took a break. TNA knows how to cool things down sometimes, okay? And so I'm actually really interested in this storyline a little bit. I would love it to already tell us why things are happening. But at the same time, let's see. I don't know if Nick Nemeth is going to be heel, but maybe it was his brother who did all of this for him. We'll just have to really wait and see until the new year. But at the end of the day, I've been loving TNA. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Santana, to Steve Maclin. I already gave a shout out to Josh Alexander, because I think they have been doing such a good job in their roles. They know exactly what they're needed. They know their characters. They know everything that they have to do. Loved it. And I'll keep loving it, right? And then I also have to do a little note, asterisk, because Kaz also has the call your shot contract, or, gauntlet or trophy, whatever you want to call it. And he can literally call his shot for a title match whenever he wants. So I have to put that in there as well. I also want to talk about the Northern Armory, but I guess I'm going to have to do another video on that. So that might just be like a different video, though. I might just do 2 parts.